Welcome to Beyond the Chutes, the rodeo podcast that dives deep into the heart of Western culture. I'm your host, Doug Simcox, and here we explore it all. Rodeo's rich history, the legends and their stories, today's competitors shaping the sport, and the behind-the-scenes heroes who make it happen. From bucking chutes to timed events, from rodeo history to current events, from bucking chutes to timed events, from rodeo history to current events, this is your all-access pass to the world of rodeo. Our show is presented by ParaSight Systems, who help vet clinics and animal owners experience the power of sight. New in 2025, the all-in-one analyzer featuring fecal-sight AI, hemosight AI, and flow-sight AI technology. You can find them at ParasightSystems.com. In this BTC Short Go episode, we're talking with Ron Martin and his experiences riding the J Bar J Bronc Nightmare. Now, we've talked about Nightmare in the past. If you've listened to our episode number 100, The Nightmare Account, The Legacy of J Bar J Rodeo Company, you will remember that Sam and I drove to Clare, Michigan, had dinner and a great conversation with Jim and Maggie Zinser, the founders of the J Bar J Rodeo Company. They started all in 1970, and we learned during that visit that they purchased Nightmare from a riding stable for $150 because no one could ride her. Now, to give you an idea of the investment of the gamble, that's about $1,200 today, and at the time, it was a lot of money. Brand new rodeo company trying to pull it all together, trying to make sense of the world, and gambling with that kind of money on a saddle horse that bucks, which most stock contractors will tell you is a gamble that usually doesn't work. So Ron talks about his experience with J Bar J's Nightmare. He's from Cicero, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, a city boy that rode bareback broncs for 18 years. At the IFR this year, Bronc Nation honored Nightmare, and Maggie Zinder spoke about this great bronc that put the J Bar J Rodeo Company on the map. Nightmare was a 3 times IRA International Rodeo Association Bareback Horse of the Year in 1972, 73, and 74, and her legacy continues in the sport of rodeo today. Her grandson, Night Jacket, was inducted into the PRCA Rodeo Hall of Fame in 2023. Truly, she started a dynasty of champions. And in this episode, Ron is going to tell us about his experiences riding this great bronc. You'll see how determined he was to do anything he could to get to the rodeo and get on Nightmares, kind of a planes, trains, and automobiles story. He tells us about the best ride he made on the famous Hall of Fame-worthy bronc, Nightmare. So pull your hat down tight and let's ride. This is Beyond the Chutes Short Go with Ron Martin and the Legend of Nightmare. Where might you go on a given weekend?
Well, we'd always try to work our way back to Illinois. So you tried to pick a rodeo on Friday. That was Missouri, or, at the time you could only be in one association or the other, dependent on what rodeos they had.
Yeah. So Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Michigan, J Bar J, Jim Zinser.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about J Bar J. Had some great broncs.
Rodeo.
Yep.
Great people.
Yep.
I still speak with them.
You do, with Jim and Maggie.
Yeah, after
Perfect.
all these years.
Perfect.
And they had one of the greatest bucking horses of all time, Nightmare.
So, did you see her go? Did you get on her? What might you share there?
I got on her 11 times.
On Nightmare, 11 times.
Yeah.
Okay. And 11 pay windows?
Actually, 9 pay windows, 9 first.
Nice.
She threw me off one time.
Okay.
And I had her at the finals one year. and missed her out. Some people say it was the greatest bareback ride they've ever seen. They marked her, both judges marked her 24.
Holy cow.
And the judge that marked me at 23.
Holy cow. Okay, now let me stop here. For our listeners, each judge, there are two judges, each judge has 0 to 25 maximum points they can give to the bronc. And I just want to slow this down because Nightmare, J Bar J's Nightmare, the day you rode her at the International Finals Rodeo, they scored her 24 out of a possible 25.
Correct.
So that's going to be 48 points on her side, on the bronc side. Right? Am I doing that right? Okay.
Yes, you are.
And they marked you 23. They marked you 23 points on your ride.
Correct.
So that'd be 46 if both judges had marked you. Let's say they marked you evenly. That would have been a 46-point spur ride, cowboy ride.
Okay.
And if my math is right, 48 for the bronc, 46 for your ride, that would have scored a 94-point ride.
Correct.
Wow. That had to be early to mid-70s, right? 72?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, early 70s.
Okay. And
she was, I don't know, 3-time bucking horse of the year.
She was.
Yeah.
The 11 times you got on her, where were they in relationship when you drew her at the finals and missed her out? Had you already been on her?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, of the pen, you said, that's the one I want?
I'll tell you what happened one time. I was traveling with Bob Inc., and the car broke down. So we called up to tell them we weren't going to make it. And they said, well, Ron Martin's got Nightmare. And that was the first time I ever had her.
Okay.
So I flew all night. They picked me up at the airport, and we got in there about 15 minutes before the rodeo started. And that was the first time I ever had her.
Holy cow. So you weren't going there until you learned you had Nightmare. I mean, you'd entered,
Yeah.
Cars broke down, we're done. We're going to draw to that rodeo.
Yeah.
Then somebody says, do you know Ron's got Nightmare? Holy cow. And
Yeah.
So you actually got to an airport, you found a flight, and you flew. Do you remember where you got on her the first time?
It was in Michigan.
Yeah.
Somewhere close to J Bar J's.
Okay, so up around Claire. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you remember about that bronc? How was she in the chutes? Take us all the way back. Did you?
Very nervous.
She was, or you were?
Oh, yes. No, she was.
Okay.
And I used to have a guy called Bob Inc. He's passed away now.
Yep.
But he would always, I'd have him on the gate handling her.
So, okay.
Because if you weren't careful, she'd flip over on you.
Oh, really? So did she have a neck rope on her, a head rope on her? Or he just was working with her?
I think he was working with her, tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a bucker. She sure was.
So did you pull your rigging any different? Did you pull it tighter? Did you leave it looser? Was she known to, how was she described to you? You'd never been on her. You'd seen her go?
Well, I pulled it a little tighter than most people because I felt too many of them guys were pulling it loose and they were getting like a double jerk off of her.
Okay. So you had seen her go.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And so
I was wanting to get on her for a long time.
Okay. Excellent. So you pulled she's a pretty big, stout horse, though, pretty heavy.
Yes, she was.
Okay. And so typically to take some of that jerk away, a cowboy might work or pull a little bit less tight.
Yes.
Okay, rigging. And you said, yeah, but that's going to put a little bit of double snap into the whole thing.
Correct.
Okay. So you pulled her the way you would always pull every horse, or what was your thinking, if you can recall?
Every horse was a little different. It just depended on the animal.
Yeah. And easy to get down. I know she was nervous. You're pulling your rigging. You get your hand in. Now, at this point, they were the hard-handled riggings, Ron?
Yes, they were.
Okay. When you started, you were on soft-handled, though, right?
When I started rodeoing, yes.
You bet. You bet. And could you rode her with a soft-handled rigging?
I doubt it.
Okay. Okay. And the hard-handled rigging, you had a lot of bind. You was wedged in there pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If you come off away from your hand, you were gonna hang and drag.
You bet. You bet. So you slide down, get your hand in, get everything set. Bob Inks on the head. Going to push her out. How'd she leave, and how hard was she to mark out?
She was a little tough to mark out because she wouldn't rear out of there, but she'd kind of lunge out.
Oh, really? Okay. A lot of power on that first jump.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you didn't mark her out, did you get into a bad position, meaning you're behind so far because of that first big move?
Well, the time I missed her out, I don't remember exactly what happened.
And I got to ask this. Did you know you missed her out on that side?
I thought I did.
You did. Okay.
But I went, you go for it anyhow.
Oh, for sure.
know?
For sure. For sure. I didn't know if it was, a judgment call, and no, I know I was there, or maybe a touch low, or whatever the case may be, but you had a sense you were a little bit slow on that side?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So then describe her from that point. How'd she feel? On your hand, on your arm, the whole body?
Bucked. Just bucked.
Just bucked.
Strong, But, if you got in time with her, you could make a great ride.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were a little behind, she'd throw you off or punish you terribly.
Yeah. Gonna really hurt you. Yeah. And all the way to the whistle?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And we just did the math on this one where you missed her out. You'd have been 94. What was you went to you had 9 firsts on her. Do you remember that very first score you got on that bronc on Nightmare?
No, I don't.
Okay. But 9 out of 11 firsts.
Yeah.
What would be, if you drew, what could you, on a good day in a good arena, good conditions, her doing her best, you doing your best, Ron Martin riding Nightmare, what could you kind of count on for a score?
Oh, that's hard to say because through the years, the scoring really changed.
How did it change? What do you mean?
Well, they never marked. The scoring system was different a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember how it went anymore.
But it was lower.
It was lower. The scores were lower then, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's quite a record. 11 times out on her, 9 firsts, 1 you buck off. So if Ron Martin's drawn this horse at any given J Bar J Rodeo, drawn Nightmare, odds are highly in your favor that you're going to win that rodeo.
Because I went to every one of their rodeos. Every rodeo they had, I was entered.
Okay.
They were a great stock contractor, him and his wife. They would try to throw you off, but they were happy, if you made a good ride.
Yeah.
To where some of them were pissed off if you made a good ride.
And we've talked about that on the show. And it wasn't that long ago. You're right. The job the contractor's job, they thought, was to buck you off, put you on the dirt, they win.
Yeah.
However, somewhere along the way, and I'm guessing, knowing Jim and Maggie, I'm guessing if, to your point, you put an 80-something point ride on one of their horses, they're excited because that's showing off their horse.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you for joining us on this BTC Short Go. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. It helps the services promote these great stories. To make your listening easier, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. YouTube, simply search for Beyond the Chutes and follow us. Like us, rate us, give us comments, let us hear from you, give us a review. If you like reels, we've got reels. Check out our Beyond the Chutes Facebook page and click follow. Thank you to ParaSight Systems for their support with our podcast. ParaSight Systems, who help vet clinics and animal owners experience the power of sight. New in 2025, the all-in-one analyzer featuring Fecal Sight AI, Hemosight AI, and FlowSight AI technology. You can find them at ParasightSystems.com. And remember, we've got that mail-in testing coupon that you can send your samples into ParaSight Systems for testing, and the coupon is BTC023 for 50% off your testing. I listen to a lot of podcasts about a lot of subjects: rodeo, racing, wrestling, you name it. I want to encourage you to listen to Rodeo Roots podcast. Rob and Dana Gann and Blue Jeans are recording some great interviews, giving us some great updates and some great previews of what's happening in the sport of rodeo, and you can find them on all the major streaming platforms. And a big thank you to the IRA Project Facebook group for all their help and guidance, Mr. Tim Sparks, Mr. Marlon Harris. They've really helped us connect with the rodeo greats of the IPRA. This is Beyond the Chutes. Until next time, this is Doug Simcox. Thank you for listening.